p.m. and it's Tuesday night. I got my laptop on and I feel alright. I got a few joints rolled and my munchies made. Got my headphones on and I close the door, don't disturb me. It's time to stand up tall and say some things about the shitty world we're living in with the boys at Raconteurs News. News Raconteurs, 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 News Raconteurs, News Raconteurs, News Raconteurs, News Raconteurs, News Raconteurs, News. Oh yeah. Good evening and welcome, you lovely people, to Raconteurs News, our Tuesday edition. It's the 26th of February 2019 and we're here with you and Watson over there in the background being a wanker in colour here on live on this Google Hangout, and we've got a great show for you. But first of all, I hope you had a good day. It's been really nice day today. Watson, for fuck's sake, fuck off. Fucking dog. Do you know, it's just fucking, it just starts now, exactly when I go live. But anyway, I hope you've had a nice day. Listen, you know, I've made this new discovery. You know, with me pretend leg, I have to wear this girdle thing around my waist. And since I'm going to have this one for another 6 months, I decided that I needed, because the girdle thing was a bit irritating on my skin. So what I did is, and do you know what? I was absolutely very, very pleased with the results as well. I just want to get you the best because I'm gonna do the reveal. I got myself. Are you ready?
You've revealed enough, mate.
Some vests. Yeah, baby. Look at me. I'm Bruce Willis. I'm being Bruce Willis. Look at me. Look at this, everybody. I've got some vests. Yeah. I'm going to start the white vest movement. And, of course...
Is it going to go organically yellow?
It'll be yellow and I've got some egg yolk down it probably tomorrow or something. Yeah, it's also very good for me to be able to show me guns, you know, on me spaghetti arms. But anyway, yeah, if you've not got a vest, you get one. It's a white vest movement. And as usual, tonight I am joined by my erstwhile co-host and a good mate of mine. And he looks like he's got like from here. He looks like he's got little white bits of light hanging down from his ears. But anyway, good evening, Paul Webster. How you doing, mate?
It's all right, Sal. No, I'm right.
Yeah, you all right?
Yeah, I'm good, mate.
Good.
Went out to B&Q today and got myself some soil and stuff and planted some spuds. And I think I've planted some tomatoes and some peas. We'll see what happens with them.
Spuds, tomatoes and peas will be around your house once when harvest time comes. Not to help you dig them up, obviously, but, you know, just to help you eat.
It's in case of Brexit, you know. Everything's going to go. Everything's gone.
It's nuts, isn't it? I mean, something's happened today as well, hasn't it? And they extended the Article 50 thing.
Well, they're rumming and ahhing about it. She's delaying it, and they're just all arguing over the same old shite. And, you know, you've got the people who are still panicking that, you know, if we leave with nothing, then we're fucked because all these firms are going blah, blah, blah. You know, it's because people can't think or won't dare to think any different. It's just, for me, if we don't dare to start thinking differently, Jason, we keep doing the same thing over and over again and keep expecting a different outcome, voting for a different controlled opposition. It doesn't matter what you want to point at, the differences are. It's what they all agree on. And the one thing that they agree on is the money supply. The ones who own it keep control of it. If they do, nothing changes.
No, yeah, it is. Look, it's a fucking, it's a joke, isn't it? It's about time as far as I'm concerned, that we just went down and ragged these fuckers out of here and just said, you know.
Yeah, but you'll get banned for saying that. That's like, you know, they class it as fucking incitement when you're speaking.
Somebody who's got 2 legs and rag the cunts out because they're doing my fucking head in.
Lee Garrett's got more legs than you, mate.
Well, I know that, yeah, I know. But he's had more nosebleeds as well, hasn't he? So he's like a pariah to his nosebleeds. Good evening, if you're watching, Lee. Good evening, mate. I hope you're all right, like, and you've got no nosebleeds.
You've been practicing that, haven't you?
Anyway, listen, let's get on with tonight's show. We've got a great guest lined up for us tonight. You've organised this guest, Webby, so I suggest you introduce him. Good evening to our guest.
Well, the guest tonight is Danny Nicholson. I've known Danny for a while through social media, interacted sporadically, and we've always said we'd end up, you know, get a time for a chat. So I asked him if he could be available, and he said he could jump on. So I'll let Danny fill you in on where he's up to and where he's come from.
Right, in the deep end then, guys. Right, yeah. So yeah, you'll know.
Start from the beginning, mate.
Start from the beginning. Right. Well, back in the day, I don't know. I was born, so I was too young. But you know, I worked as a very hard worker, installing windscreens and heavy goods driving, one thing and another. Anyway, one day on one of the heavy goods vehicles, had an accident at work. 2-ton of baby milk fell off, nearly killed me. So to cut a very long story short, I've been from point A in the NHS right through to point Z, where in the process I've had 2 shoulder decompressions. Then the NHS said to me, sorry, that's, you know, basically they said we shouldn't have done it with cocked up. And I have that in writing, no you can't. Okay, so we move on.
That's a bit liability, mate.
Well, this is true. This is true. So we move on from that. And I went into plumbing, but I found I was left with, at the end of going through the health service for probably 4, 5, maybe 6 years, they said to me, probably after 4 years, I had fibromyalgia.
Right.
So on the journey, I ended up at probably one of the last doctors I saw was a Professor Anthony Jones from Salford Royal University neurologist. And he sat there and he said, so Dan, what do you do? You don't drink. What do you do? And I said to him, I said, are you open-minded? And he said, yeah. And I said, I use cannabis. He sat there and smiled. And he said, I'm glad you found the best thing for your pain. Now, at the end of the day, that was before all this legalization march that we've been on for the past sort of, what, 2 years maybe? Mm-hmm. You know, we've been on a definite march there to try and get it legalized. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of sick kids being held up in the campaign and said, look, you know, sick kid could benefit from it. But guess what? So could a lot of adults as well.
Yeah.
You know? So since that day, well, I've never looked back really. And I do make a lot of quality oil. I do help a lot of sick people out in the process of doing that. And that's the way it is. The government is still saying that it's legal from the 1st of November last year. Well, yes, it is legal. And yes, I am in the process. And I'm going to say this tonight. I am currently in the process of being prescribed myself. Right? I'm number 8 in the UK to be prescribed. Okay. Not a lot of folk know that, guys. But I'm going to be number 8. That's in the process now. I've seen the doctor, it has been prescribed. I'm waiting for the script, and I've got a message earlier that some company are going to ring me and they're going to arrange secure courier of the bud. But what really is distressing about this is essentially, you know, I've had to do this because I've got the DVLA on my back because I use cannabis for pain, right? So I've had to do it for that reason. Now, you can walk down most streets in the UK. You can find cannabis from 120 quid. Absolute crap, by the way. But at 100 and sort of 160, 180 quid, it's quite good, really good. And then you can pay top end. But I get top end stuff at the price I get it for. And I'll tell you now, what's the difference between the cannabinoids in their so-called medical cannabis and the so-called cannabis you can buy on the streets, because there's no difference. The cannabinoid content might be higher on the streets. Right, if you want to water it down, stick some CBD in with it.
Yeah.
Simple answer. You know.
What do you say to people who don't understand when you're using like cannabis oil, when they know what the THC is, they inevitably seem to react like they expect people to be all over the place on this stuff, which obviously it does do to some people. So how would you explain that it's possible to use it without those kind of effects?
In moderation, mate. In moderation. If you go out there and you eat McDonald's every day for a month, you're going to put weight on.
Yeah.
Same thing with this. If you go out there and you smash it, you are going to be either pretty relaxed or you're going to be in bed throwing a whitey. You know, so everything in moderation. I normally say up to a maximum of a 10th of a mil a day. You know, which is roughly going to equate to 3 or 4 rice grains. That's very
small, isn't it? Yeah.
But it's very powerful stuff. So
yeah, I mean, for
it's not a lot, but it is a hell of a lot, especially to maybe somebody who's got no tolerance. You know, it can be a hell of a lot.
So how would you, like you're saying, you're 8th in line to get prescribed? On the prescription, do they just prescribe the drug to you and then you administer it how you choose?
Yep. Basically, I've been prescribed bud and oil, and whilst they say the bud's for in the day, the oil's for at night, use it how you want. There's no one watching you, and nobody could watch you, you know, because somebody would have to be here now. But at the end of the day, there's no help for anyone out there who's got a they say it's a dependency. I don't see it as a dependency. I see it as a high tolerance issue where, yes, you are using it because you are trying to get rid of pain, chronic pain. Chronic pain's a killer. You know, it's not a nice thing to live with. And if you are using it for chronic pain, I guarantee you one thing, your tolerance will be far higher than that of a so-called recreational smoker.
Yeah.
You know, and this is where the system fails people, because there is no help for people out there to get your tolerance down. But then again, there's no research going on. Yeah,
that's what you're stuck between, isn't it? You because of, you know, you could even say trial and error, but because of having be forced into a situation where you were using it that you've got, then everyone else, because there's that little bit of information. It's the same with cancer research. On the UK cancer research site, it states about cannabis, there's no known benefits. Well, that's true, because they've not done any tests. They aren't exactly telling lies.
Yeah, there's no actual clinical research that's sort of admissible. There's lots of anecdotal evidence about, you know, but there's nothing actual clinical. And when people say, I see it on Facebook, oh, cannabis cures cancer, I'll go in and say, no, it doesn't. You can't say that, because there's no clinical evidence of that. We need, you know, we need to do a lot more research. Now, the government, we touched on this before we came live as well. You know, the prison population has got such a problem with spice, as we were saying. Manchester, Piccadilly Gardens, no doubt London, Liverpool, Leeds, all the big cities, Glasgow, Edinburgh, everywhere you look. And the people that are homeless, quite honestly, I do a fair bit of work with the homeless, and quite honestly, you know, I've sat there with them and I've said, look, lads, this is bad shit. Why? Why do you do this? And the honest answer you get every time, it's real fucking sad. It's real sad. And they simply say it keeps us warm.
Yeah.
It must just take away, you know, the body's feeling for...
It's out of reality, mate.
It's 100 times stronger, apparently, than actual cannabis. Now, that is
not in this reality at all.
Synthetic cannabis.
Yeah.
There is another out there, is it? I'm not sure. I'm going to say Nabalone, but I may well be wrong there. Don't, you know, I may well be wrong. But there's another synthetic one out there. And if that does, how do we know these are safe? Supposedly, if God exists, which I don't believe, you know, the one I believe in is Shiva, the Lord of Bang. You know, at the end of the day, though, if there is a God out there, they put this plant on the earth, says in the Bible, put the plant on the earth for us to use. Now, at the end of the day, what's happened in the UK is that we've been using this plant for many years, but all of a sudden, with the advent of the internet, people have logged on to this fact that, oh shit, cannabis is good. You know, they said in the 60s it was bad when they made the schedule change. But yeah, you go and ask them for their fundamental underlying evidence for when they made it a Schedule 1 drug. They haven't got shit. They can't give you a thing.
They're actually attacking it in the media in Scotland now in relation to the 6-year-old girl who was murdered by a 16-year-old lad who apparently was an habitual cannabis user. And the media have been angled to show it's cannabis, and this is absolute madness of people that have never been involved in anything. Like I said, throughout people I've known and work and stuff like that, you get to know what kind of drugs are going on about. I mean, there's some of the stuff that I've heard that coming through is things like fentanyl. Yeah. You know, this is like a heavy tranquilizer. A drop of this stuff knocks out elephants. And people are doing it because there's nothing to some of these lads' lives and girls as well. You know, it doesn't discriminate.
No.
The state I've physically seen people in, you yourself said, in the city of Manchester, and they're not here. They're absolutely not here. And then when they start to come back into this world, they don't know what is real and what you're saying or anything, and they start attacking people. It's bad stuff when you're working with people who've already got mental health issues. You touched on the prison service. There's a percentage, Danny, in the prisons now that are mentally ill.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be there, and it's a problem.
I know of people, and again, no names will be used, but I know of people, a certain young lady out there, who went into prison for whatever she went into the clinic for, but she went in clean. She's come out a spice addict and a junkie, you know? And much as you try, I've seen it for myself firsthand this winter when we've tried to help 5 of them turn their lives around. And we've ended up with, I think the final number is going to be three of them clean. So there was either 5 or 6 of them, and we've got half of them clean now. You know, one of them at the moment, at this very moment in time, is in rehab. I'm not sure. I think I know which rehab he's in, but I'm not exactly 100% sure. But if he is in the one I'm thinking of, it is a very strict rehab place, and you're not even allowed a cigarette. Right. You know, but we do need more help for everyone that's out there, because at the end of the day, everyone's skin. Nobody's got any money to spare.
There isn't any money, Danny.
Well, so they say. But you know, if we made a few little changes, and they're not huge, you know, I've suggested things like dispensaries in every town and city in the UK, whereby we can follow a Canadian model, maybe, you know, or a model from a different country. Maybe you have to go and see a doctor in the dispensary first and just talk through some shite with the doctor and say, yeah, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not the other.
Well, what would you say if take money out of the equation, Danny? What would you actually need apart from people? What would you actually need? So you need what resources for this? Because I have to stop talking about this money stuff, because we have promises. This is how our economy works. If we can be self-sufficient within our own economy, we can be wealthy enough to be able to buy stuff what we want from imports, from people who want to sell us things.
Yeah.
Money is not an issue here. This is what we are lied about. You can't have that resource because there's no money. That's bollocks. So what you need is, in every local town borough, is you need to fix that borough from within, and you've got to start at that local government level. You touched off when we were off air on the councils must have money. I explained to you about this debt-based economy, this credit thing. The councils are given credit for you to set debts off, and they are sitting on that. My local council, Danny, sold Ashton Town Hall for £1 because they said it wasn't. They couldn't afford to knock our own building down and build this new life centre where you can't talk to any people. You've just got a touch screen. Instead, they sell it to another company for £1, who knock it down, build the infrastructure for them, rent it back to us.
Yeah.
This is land grabbing through proxy,
It's really exactly the same when you look at it like that as what we've done to the rail. We've privatised the rail.
Well, one of the fallacies about privatisation is people think that we do not own the infrastructure. That's the fallacy. It's the operational management that's been privatised. Put our people,
rail.
Put the people back in charge and give them the jobs. Give them the pieces of paper, Danny, that they can go and promise. This is how Germany turned the Weimar Republic round in 6 years to the second biggest superpower, because they cut out this central banking system that is bleeding us dry, used in false legislation to steal land and property. This is bonkers stuff.
You know, touching on false legislation, though, you look at Moda and going back to that, you ask them for the information. You say, can I have the information, the fundamental underlying evidence that you used as a government when you made this illegal? And they've got nothing to offer. But yet you go up with that in a court and the CPS will ban you from asking that. That's what happened to me. I went in Crown Court and I asked for the evidence and all the rest of it, and I went to put evidence forward and we weren't allowed it. I wasn't allowed it. And that says to me that, you know, I'm living in a corrupt society, because at the end of the day,
the courts are the gatekeepers.
The
courts are the gatekeepers.
Big time.
And you know, you can't get away from this stuff. I mean, my experiences with the courts, they didn't want me telling them that they had no authority to take and do anything with where I live and what my property is. And they used armed police, they used video evidence gatherers, they used all kinds. And I kept that going for 5 years, and they still stole everything through Land Registry, who told me that they don't require signed contracts to exchange details. They need a court stamp and they automatically change the property title. That's how easy it is to steal our property. We don't own anything, Danny. The system is not designed that way, because
the system is just designed to take money from us.
Yeah, and it needs us to act differently. If we acted differently, we would the system's meant to be beneficial to us. That's how this system's set up, but we're not reacting the right way, and we've been trained that way. And these people got that comfy, they're not going to give it up.
Of course, well, of course,
the tide is definitely turned. Sorry, Jason.
I was just going to say, we've had a couple of comments in the chat room from Andy, who used to be a presenter here on Raconteurs News. Good evening, Andy. I hope you're okay, mate. And Cookie Monster, who's got his own show as well. They say that legislation is the thing that's gripping us, that's got us round the throat. You know, the legislation. Whereas if they just said, right, okay, listen, you can have cannabis and you can you just grow your own or do what you want. I mean, that would be the ideal situation, rather than
they ain't say
that for permission to do something.
They're not going to say that.
Well, yeah, of course not. No,
Theresa May's husband is so embroiled in this. I think he's 54% shareholder, if my brain rings correctly, in GW Pharma. You know, and you've got all these new companies springing up that are going to be worth massive amounts of money. So clearly,
he's a shareholder in one of the biggest farms in Europe, isn't he, Danny?
Yeah. Very much. We're the biggest exporter in the world at this time. You know, and when you look at it, it's like they are
using our money. Using our money.
They're not willing to give us freedom of the plant. And you know, if they gave us freedom of the plant, in fact, I believe in my own heart that they'd have 10 times more revenue, because people in the cannabis industry are very, very creative. And there is a lot of money to be made in this new upcoming industry. And it's coming down the railroad like a steam train, and it ain't stopping. It's not going to stop. And one day we will have, you know, what we should have had. Full legalization, full decriminalization, and you'll see people eating edibles and smoking joints in the street. You know, there won't be an issue. But that day, sadly, isn't today, and it's not looking like it's going to be in the next few years.
It's a really interesting thing. That it's such an easy. If I describe myself as a fucking let's just I'm scissors, right? We just call myself scissors. That's what I identify as. I identify as scissors, and I can get legislation in place so that if somebody says you're not scissors, actually you're just this geezer, then then I can then have them criminalised because they've misidentified me. But you know, growing a plant that is obviously, I say obviously, not to everybody, but to people that have been in this situation. I've used to take CBD oil, and I've not had a supplier for a while, so I haven't had any for a bit, and I felt the negative impact upon me of that. I mean, I used to never wake up in the morning with you know, all coughing up and what have you, whereas I do now, and this is all due to the CBD oil. So you know, it's almost as if we need to have a plants' rights movement, so that plants have the same rights to grow as anyone else, and you can't abort a plant once it's been, you know, once it's been planted, and once it's grown, and you can do whatever you want with it. This is so simple to solve, yet everything's all in the way, and this is the way that everything seems to be. Everything, Brexit, fucking.
The problem there though is if you give me a plant and you say, Dan, you can do what you want with that. Well, straight away, I used to be on 18, 20 odd tablets a day for my fibro, who tried me with everything. None of them work. And that's why when I went to see the specialist the other day on Friday night, when I went to see him, he made the decision to prescribe me. Yes, it's cost a lot of money, but yes, it's a legal prescription. So we're going to have a bit of fun with that. I think you can see that coming. But that's what it's all about. If you allow me to grow it in the same way that farmers can grow tomatoes, well, you know, they lose a lot of money out of big pharma, and they just clawing at the bit to get all the money they can. Money, money, money. That's all it's always been about. It's always what it will be about, no matter what. The day the Romans brought that to this country, well, it was a death nail in the coffin, you know.
The Romans brought money. That was gold. We haven't got that gold. We've got the credit.
We've got credit now.
But the trouble is, we're still talking about money, Danny. This is what we've got to stop talking about. It doesn't work. No arguments based on money works in this debt-based economy, and that is what every man and woman's got to realise. Take responsibility for these things. If you're promising to pay a bill, you are making the national debt worse. Understand how this economy works. The fact you go to work is the fact you don't pay that. Because if you promise, you do nothing with it, the debt goes up, they step in, they take stuff off you. They're doing what they're meant to do. They're meant to make these cuts, but you're taught to make those mistakes, so they take everything off you. Again, all that equity is in your councils. They're meant to be working for you. Why do you think they're on such good terms and money? Because these local people are being, you know, there's good people in there, but they're not changing the system, and it's that damn money thing. We've got to stop talking about it, pal, because you've got things there that can help people. It's horses for courses. Some people may not.
At the end of the day, Paul, right? At the end of the day, here's how it boils down to somebody, maybe someone like myself today, right? Think about this. So you've got somebody there that produces oil. Now, if they grow their own, that's fine. They can make it from seed to oil, no problem. See it all the way through. If you don't, you've got to buy it in. You've got to bring it in. So at the minute, you've got to exchange something for that. That is money. Unfortunately, that's the way it is.
It's currency, that, mate. We are just accept it.
Right.
No, that's what I'm saying. We accept it that easily, Danny. That's how easy we can fix it.
But I've got to exchange something, or the person has, in order to get what we need to make what we need, and then so at the end of the day, that product has to have a value in order for me, or whoever that would be, should I say, to pay.
Right. Okay.
The first product.
What is a £10 note worth? What's the value of that? The Bank of England's definition is what two parties agree. So if
the thing is there, if you go into the Bank of England, a funny thing, it says, I promise to pay the bearer and demand the sum of. Yeah. But if you go into the Bank of England, you used to be able to go in and get gold for it. You can't now.
No, but we accept this credit. That's what we exchange. We exchange debt. So that's what the credit is based on. So take your bills away, you have more of these pieces of paper to promise to people, and they will take those pieces of paper and give you that product, what you need. That's a fair exchange. We all accept that. It's the value thing. We can exchange all this freely, but we're expecting to pay for something that we haven't got by people who are supplying and charging us for a money supply that we could do as a country, as a government.
Yeah, we could.
This is what's got to change, because those pieces of paper, what you have, what you work for, what you exchange your toil, people will accept that as currency. So you will get your product and you will be able to help people. The thing is, what they're saying is there isn't enough of that and it's not yours. And they're right, because those pieces of paper belong to somebody, but we should be doing our own. So it's the economy thing that we've got to look at. You're doing all the right stuff, Danny. That exchange is the perfect. There's nothing wrong with the system. It's how it's being run.
But essentially, you know, unless we get rid of it, we are stuck where we are. Where
use it, yeah, use it. Use it to our benefit.
Yeah, you know, and at the end of the day, that creates the same as your big corporations where they don't want to pay tax. How much was it announced yesterday that Amazon paid in tax in the last year? Anyone know? 3 points for anyone.
It's
a big figure. It's a huge figure that looks like that. Zero.
Yeah, well, there was a post earlier because it's where they're registered, so they don't pay tax in this country because they're not registered.
Yeah, hang on. They don't pay tax in this country. So here's where shit needs to change. They don't pay tax in this country, but they trade in this country. You trade in the UK. I didn't pay tax in the UK. It doesn't matter. You pay tax 20%, whatever it is, tax them, and then tax the coffee shops and every other one that doesn't pay tax. Get all the offshore money.
That's how they're getting around it, Danny. They're not registered in this country, so they have to pay tax where they're registered. So whatever country they're registered in, they pay tax. If they pay tax here...
Yeah, but the British government should therefore make it a policy in law.
That's why they don't work for us. That's what I'm saying. This is where this has got to change.
This is what I'm saying the change needs to be.
Yeah, well, those companies...
here pay tax. Right?
No, it doesn't work like that. We're registered here, so we pay tax here. These companies register purposely through government contracts in other countries, and then because they don't pay tax here, they pay it in another country. If they paid tax here, they still owe it to where they're registered. That's not good business. So what they would do is say, we will not trade here. So the government say, fine, pay your taxes there, come and trade. This is where we're being robbed blind, Danny, and it's because this system teaches us to be stupid. My mum, God bless her, I said off her, she ran business. She told me this is life. This is how it works. She was wrong. She was wrong, and as much that pains me, I can't talk about this money thing because these bastards know it. I said also, Alex Thompson told me that at Eton, he confirmed, when I said the Bills of Exchange and the Bills of Exchange Act is taught to them by the age of 11, and he stated, how else would they know how to steal your equity if you knew that? Nobody knew what the Bills of Exchange was. It's not in a curriculum. These people know it inside out. They know what those pieces of paper are. They know how it works. We don't, and we inevitably, through that system, are taught to blow ourselves up, and this has got to change, pal. Good people like you are being, you're bouncing from pillar to post, Danny. You're telling me about what you need to help these people to stop this epidemic that is being fueled, socially engineered. Look at the state of the place, not just this country, Europe. It's bonkers, mate. It's absolutely nuts, isn't it?
Yeah. It's all going to be Pete Tong, but you know, for a few changes, and they're going to have to come one day.
Yeah,
One of
definitely.
Labour's key pledges, right? Labour, when they sort themselves out, one of their key pledges is apparently, so I heard yesterday, to go green, right, in their next election. Let's see. Let's wait and see.
Who knows, mate?
You know, but who knows? I mean, if we did that and we started to tax it and regulate it properly, that's a booming industry. Look abroad where they've made over 100 million in Canada, was it, where they're reinvesting it now in education. It's not something that we could do with a bit of money to stop these little gobshites going off the rails in the first place.
Owen Lloyd Martin brings up the point in the chat room about he lives over in. Good evening, Owen. I hope you're well, mate. And I've not seen you around for a bit, so I hope you're doing well. But he makes the point that in Portugal, since decriminalisation, the abuse of Class A drugs has dropped significantly. And you know, the economy, like you said, there are so many opportunities for. It's not like you're taking everything away from the government. There's so many opportunities for them to tax on seeds that people buy, or tax on, you know, if they choose not to grow it themselves, then tax from people who dispensaries. You know, like they have in a lot of states in America now. So, you know, it's not like it's economically, it's suicide to decriminalize this substance. It's just that it's just not as lucrative as it is if they're criminalized. And plus, you've got a lot of people, especially in America, who are in prison for the for possession of cannabis. Who are now in I don't know, got 5 years for possession of cannabis. These stupid laws that they have in America.
State of Louisiana, 10-year mandatory prison sentence, one spliff.
There you go, one spliff, 10 years, and you're in prison, and you are then cheap labour for the prison authorities or the people that own the prison to be able to rent you out. And it's like Shawshank Redemption, isn't it?
And those prisons, Jason, signed 95% occupancy rate contracts before they paid anything towards the upkeep.
Yeah.
That's brilliant, isn't it? Good business, mate. Good business.
Privately owned as well. You know,
yeah. Andy's made a point about Canada, because I've got friends over in Canada. I don't know what models you're referring to, if it's cannabis based, but Canada's in a bit of a mess. You know, it's their economic model is still all based on this falseness, and I think me and Jason always make.
I was referring to states in America there. I mean, there's facts in my head that I can't pull out, and I do forget stuff because of my fibro. I know I've read somewhere that somewhere it was over 130 million that was, I think it was dollars, so it would have been America, that was made, and it's been pumped back into such things like education. You know, now all I can think, right, is I live in a small part of the country, and I just think, you know what, I know this area around here could do 130 million pound a year, right, if it was allowed. Now imagine the tax on that, right? Forget what we say. I'm paying back into. Imagine what we could do with it. How much services we could bring. We could
very easy to do.
More coppers. You could put child
very easy
on for the kids, youth clubs and all that, like we used to have back in the day. Stuff that ain't really about no more. Stuff that would be easy to do, wouldn't cost a lot of money, but the benefits to society would be huge.
Yeah, but that'll be the opposite of collapse, isn't it? And you can see where they want to go with this. And people are jumping on board. You know, people are going yeehaw. It's absolutely madness what people justify in their own minds. I mean, Jason touched on earlier when he was talking about his plants. He said you don't abort a plant when it's growing at the seed. We're living in a world where they're passing legislation that it's okay to abort a baby up to birth, Danny. Yeah. This this is a sick world that people are
Up in
justifying.
the womb and all this shit. It's
Yeah,
horrible.
this is a sick. I saw. I mean, I don't mean to offend anybody because they'll take the offence, but I saw an article where they'd injected this salt solution into the womb, and then the baby was delivered, and it was burnt from the salt inside. And you're thinking, there's got to be something. There's got to be another way. There's something not right about this. You know, there's no judgments made here. There's something not right about that. It doesn't sit right.
We're being led by puppets who, whatever side you look at the House, whether you look at Conservative or Labour, they're still a fucking puppet. Theresa May, Jeremy Corbyn, you're both puppets. You're both taking orders off who?
There's a sixth. Well, is it not Satan? Because it's that sick, mate. It's a bloody demonic society that does some of these stuff.
They're taking the orders off the bankers.
Do you know we're going to give 200 million in aid to Yemen?
Yep.
We're still selling arms to Saudi Arabia to cause the humanitarian situation that we're giving aid for.
Don't make sense.
This is called money laundering.
Yep. Yep. On a huge scale. You know, and then you look at the African space program, where we're giving them money for that. I don't know, I might be wrong there, but
well, if you look over in Africa, Danny, what's going on? We had Jason booked a guest. I can't remember her name now, but they were talking about what's happening over with the South African farmers. You know, that some of the atrocities that are going on over there. I mean, I've seen statements from people who are in government there making statements like, the reason there's crime is because white people went there. This is a government man that said this. White people went there and tempted them with their things. That's what he actually stated. And then these atrocities are being promoted. And this is in a world what we've just talked about. None of this is acceptable. No. So everything that you're saying, Danny, about not just talking about cannabis, obviously, and the benefits and that and the taxes, but the community. If you look at what the community is, what you said, how it used to be, there was a sense of community. I was at a family funeral yesterday, and I never felt so out of place at a family place. You know, there was people there I'd never ever seen before in my life, and you think, well, the cement's gone because, you know, my mum's gone and the two other sisters have gone. That was like cement. You know, you've lost. And you look round, and all of a sudden you've lost touch with your family until the shit hits the fan, and then they come together and you see who's left. And it's not that you look around the community now and there's nothing, and you think, what? How has this happened? And then we start talking about money again, and the cycle begins again. So we've got to get a grip of something somewhere. And if people learned how to start acting properly, you would be able to do everything what you're doing, as long as you've got the people who've got the mind to say, I can help you do that, Danny, because no man can just go and solve everything, can they? I mean, me and Jason had a conversation about people who go down to London and put the yellow vests on, and people who handcuff themselves. I can't do those things. That's not logistically possible within the world that I've got to juggle everything in. But other people manage to put that into a world where they juggle other things. And I love that they can do that, because I need them to do that. I'm going to therefore come and do what I can do. And that everybody does that. You've got everything what you're talking about, Danny. But we've got to stop relying on these people. There's Pied Pipers left, right and centre, and people are throwing all the things onto that bandwagon and saying, this is it. Come on, we're going forwards. This man's going to save me. This woman's going to save me. This party's going to save me. No, wake up to what can you physically do that you don't have to let go of, because we're all taught to cover everything and then try and, you know, it's that thing, work all week and then you get pissed Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, and you're back at work and you watch EastEnders and all that. Something's got to break that cycle, because these are all just cycles. We've got to stop it, because it's madness, mate. There's people, genuine people, who are being, I have to say, corporately killed, because get ready for Webingo. Andy Bastard, when he was Shadow Home Secretary.
Get ready for Webingo. Everyone's got a fucking full house already.
I've not mentioned Andy Bastard. to
I know you don't mention Andy Bastard, but some people don't have that on their card.
Well, he was Shadow Health Secretary, Danny, and he wouldn't let me speak to him, and his PA kept me away from him when I wanted to talk about old people in particular who were deciding whether to eat or heat that year, and how many people die every year. Nobody will talk to me about it because it will be so blatantly obvious that the system is actually causing this, and that we've got to get a grip of it somehow. And it's great to see people like yourself who've, through trial and tribulations, you've been and brought something out and say, look, I don't give a shit what you think or what you're saying. This is what I'm doing. This is how it's happening.
Sorry,
but you do live in fear of, is it a Birmingham City top on that blue one? I'm a bit scared. You live in fear of Birmingham. Oh, it's not, thank God.
Oh, you've upset him.
Oh, thank God for that. I didn't think it was City. I was looking, thinking, is it? But
Danny, don't mention Israel now. If you've insulted him once, don't mention Israel.
Israel. You live in constant fear. And the constant fear you live in is the coppers, quite honestly, coming through your door, 14 years for doing this. Plus now it's breaking prescription guidelines because now it's Schedule 2 all of a sudden. Yeah? I'd like to see the information for that as well, but they'll never give it us. But it's Schedule 2 now, so you're breaking prescription laws. So all of a sudden you're getting quite a tariff for what? Because I've been put in a position where I've found something that's good. Now, if anyone else was in this position, I don't care who you are, if you were in the position of chronic pain, and already tonight, I'm sat here tonight, and I'm already starting to feel it, you would do anything to rid yourself of that chronic pain. You know, you really would.
I know that pain, mate. Absolutely know that pain. I even had my fucking leg chopped off because of that fucking pain. Yeah. It just fucking wouldn't go away. So I completely understand. The problem we've got is that, you know, how we're talking about how we're being suppressed, and but we're doing this to each other. For example, let me just tell you this. This morning, our bins are emptied on a Tuesday, and we've got 3 different bins now, so they get emptied on alternate days, and today was the regular waste sort of thing. And I was watching. I was sat on the settee, and I could see when the bin lorry comes. I could see out of our window. You can see it's behind me. I could see out a window, and there's a guy stood in front of the bin lorry, and he's taking photographs of people's bins. Right, it's taking photographs of bins. So I lean out a window. And I say, mate, what are you doing? Taking a photo of my bin for? And he says, well, it's my job. I'm just doing my job. I said, you're fucking bin, man. Empty my fucking bin and fuck off. You're taking photos for what? What for? So you can go, oh, look at this. Oh, look at me. I can go. There's a fine that I've imposed on somebody because the bin lid was slightly open. I can impose that fine on them, and I've done counsellor a really good thing. And look at me. I'm all good. I'm a good blue-eyed boy, and I'm going to get bummed down at fucking depot by some fucking bloke that I really want to bum me because, he's the biggest cheese in the entire council, and he might help my career. This is what we're up against. We're up against people that are prepared to do things against people that are like themselves, and so it's not really the authorities; it's each other that we're up against. Go on, you get that lit up. Get that fucking.
I agree.
Burned up. Somebody. Photos of a bin. That's your job. What's your job? You go onto a game show, and the Chase or whatever, and they say, I'm Jeff, and I'm 49, and I take pictures of people's fucking bins.
Hey, I'd love to see your CV, mate.
It's just ridiculous. It's just we've got these.
That's what the world's come to, because that's just another way of getting 30 quid out of your pocket into their pocket. It's as simple as that. It's another tax.
And control, because people do it, Danny. Yeah. This is why people are trained to do it. And they even do it unbeknownstly, because, you know, people say, you know, they'll be sat there in court and they'll hold a piece of paper up and say, "Is Mr. John Smith here?" And you're taught, your name is John, your last name is Smith, you're an adult, you're Mr. Yes, that's me. There, you just said you want to pay that. We've got to learn. We've got to unlearn what we've been taught. It's madness what we've been taught. You know, it's actually, it's all based on falseness. That if you base every argument and you start from the word money, they're laughing at us because they know that doesn't exist. They know what this magic trick is, what they're doing with this paper. But the trouble is, we're accepting them. They are taking physical wealth from us, as in bricks and mortar, because that Mr. Mrs. cannot own bricks, mortar. A man or woman can own bricks and mortar, but the system's not designed for that man and woman to be recognized. And we don't identify as that. The system does nothing wrong other than take from us because we act like we don't want to be the benefit of this. And it's a mind fuck. You know, we've really had a good and done us, you know. But people say, "How clever is that?" It's not clever. It's just you've never known the game. You know, and it all starts with that magic money. I mean, you kept going back to this money. Forget the money. We could do this. We've just got to stop thinking about this money thing because there's people out there good enough for the hearts. You see it in glimpses everywhere all over the world, don't you? That people come together at times and they can do phenomenal things. That's a mindset that has been destroyed. We're all turned against each other, dog eat dog, all that kind of caper. And that's bred into us, and that's a hard thing to break, Danny. And I don't know if you'll agree with this, but I had to lose everything to actually go down to my bare bones of my arse, homeless, even only for 5 days. On paper, I was homeless. I was on somebody's couch. That was unbelievable, from having things, inherited things, stuff my parents had worked so hard for. And I went like that, and I couldn't understand why. And I had to find out. And then you look at how big this picture is and how much you participate in it. And you hit the nail on the head when you're in that, and you're swimming. You said you've always worked, you've always grafted, and things happen. And if you're in that pain, mate, if somebody gave you a tree branch and said, if you suck on that tree branch, Danny, your pain will go. You'd try it because anything for that pain. When you find something, and then these police come round with legislation that only applies commercially, so if you're doing it for personal use for pain, that does not apply to you, this legislation, but they say it does, and they physically grab you and kidnap you. This is how much authority these people think they have. And like you said, you live in that fear because all you want is to be pain-free and have a life, mate.
Yep.
Is that not what we've got a right to? Have we now got to settle because this? No,
you haven't got a right to that. And I was told by the judge last year, the year before, whenever it was, you know, still owe them 200 quid.
Well, a company hasn't got a right to that, apparently. Well,
no.
You need a license for that. But it's the same with this protest thing. You know, people have got all these great intentions. Thousands of people go and protest. They're actually saying you've got to have a license to protest. People are applying for licenses to protest. It tells you that a protest...
That is only for one reason, in my eyes. And having been involved in some frontline actions, mainly, yes, to do with cannabis, but mainly... in this respect, I'm talking about fracking. Yes, I am talking about PNR. That is only so that they've got somebody that they can give it to. Yeah, when it all goes tits, they've got someone, they've got your name on the bit of paper. You're the organizer. You're the one we're coming to. You're the one that's going to get held up in court, and you're the one that's going to pay the fines, etc., etc.
That's where the problem is, because the protest that you're applying for, the word protest is legal acceptance.
Yeah, you don't have to. Legal protest is allowed. You know,
that's what I'm saying. It's a protest is allowed. You can protest. It means you can stamp your feet. Rob Menard described it best when he said, it's a benefit that you can protest. You can stamp your feet and have a tantrum, but you're still accepting it. It's still coming. We're still doing it. That's the acceptance. Whereas there's a way to reject it. We've got to find out how to do this without the violence. I mean, I get what you're saying because we're all directed down that route. And at the very least, I mean, I know great people who've actually just got attention to it. You know, people are talking about it, whereas people wouldn't. I had a conversation with a fellow he come in the office moaning that he was 20 minutes late because of, how did he put it, those dickhead frackers. And I went, do you know those dickhead frackers are actually stopping your water table being poisoned with gas? And he didn't know what to say to that. I said, because you're not going to go and do anything about it, are you? You're just going to moan about being 20 minutes late. We need people to do that. We need people to do that, mate.
I got done down there. I was medicating at the time. It had all just gone off. It all kicked off. It was a good day, actually. It was a really good day.
We play dirty, though, don't we, when it does go off?
Play dirty, and it went off, and at the end of it, 5-10 minutes after, it all calmed down. I pissed off to where we had a loosely put agreement with the police. I know you can't have an agreement with the police, but we did. And the agreement was that you go up to that gate there, we'll leave you alone. Anyway, on this day, they decided they wouldn't. And I had 5.5 bangers pre-rolled in my pocket. You know, I've got 2 bangers pre-rolled in the same black tube. Obviously not the same one because that was seized from me. But I've got 2 pre-rolled bangers there right now in that tube. You know, and that's the way it is. There'll always be pre-rolls in a black tube somewhere.
Do you get the pain benefit through smoking as well as through the oil? Or is it different types of pain?
It's the same pain, but it's the benefits of, I don't know. Smoking is just one of them things that.
Is it a quick fix, smoking?
Yeah, very much so.
And then the oil's more long term.
The oil will last a lot longer. I'm just looking around now. I mean, the oil. Oops, there's my gas mask attachment gone flying.
What was that?
My gas mask attachment's just gone flying.
Sorry, mate. I pricked my ears up then. I thought you said gas, Bill.
My gas mask.
Oh, right. So Webby's ears probably pricked up because he thought you said gimp mask.
Gas mask. Gas bill, I thought he said.
Right. So, I mean, essentially that there is 1 mil of cannabis oil, and that there is 6.5 mil.
Wow.
But, you know, essentially that is mine for a little while. And you don't need to take a lot of this, but the more you use cannabis, the more your tolerance goes up. So the more you can tolerate this stuff. But a proper oil, when it comes to you, I mean, this, I can't even get it out very easily. It's quite hard. And that, I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, a dose for somebody like myself. I mean, I had a bit the other night and I woke up the next day and I felt super stoned. But I'm going to say it's around about 8 o'clock at night if you get to have my tea. That's my dose there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Live, first in colour, for the first time, live, someone taking cannabis oil. THC oil, and well, we're going to see the effects of that in the next hour. We're at the hour mark. Well, your pain relief, you'll be a little bit more looser, and you know, your pain relief will be a little bit better. Listen, we're at an hour anyway. We take a little bit of a break at an hour. We play a record, have a bit of a chill out, and perhaps have a drink or go for a toilet break or whatever. I'll just say hello to a lot of people in the chat room. Committed Escape is in there. Super Leeds is in there as well. And Tony is as well. Dot is in there. 11258 Stewie is in. Eric Cookie Monster, he's there as well. Don't forget to check out his show Mondays and Wednesdays. I think he's on a Wednesday night as well. Ron Malcolm, Cheris Rosin, a Midnight Gardener who says, I'm here because Leeds sent me. So welcome, Midnight Gardener. I hope you enjoy our shows. Have a look back. We're on 248, which means we're coming up to our 250th show. It won't be next week, our 250th show. Well, it might be next week, actually, because I'm having Monday off next week because it's the Sheffield Derby, because I'm a Sheffield Wednesday supporter, not Birmingham City.
God for that.
So I'm going to, it's the Sheffield Derby next Monday. So I'm going to have that off. I'm not going. I'm just going to be going. I'm just going to be watching. But if Webby gets a guest, I will be doing, I'll put the hosting on and I'll do it. So there will be a show if Webby gets a guest, but there'll definitely be a show on Tuesday evening. So next week I'm having Monday off. But so we are closing in on 250 shows, 250 shows. We've got Andy to thank for many of them as well, who's retired recently, and God rest his radio soul. So anyway, we'll play a record. We're coming up to 250 shows. We're going to play a record. We'll be back after this. It's going to be 3 minutes and 3 seconds. So everybody, go and get yourself a Waz, go and get yourself something, and we'll see you after this.
Starting to see a conspiracy been fooling me when I watch TV. Their manufactured views all over the news. It's giving me the blues, and it's time to choose. Starting to wake up from this sleep, from all the lies they spread that run so deep. But I will lace no more. Who are they fighting for? It isn't me. But now I see there is a new world order, but we're not invited. So much blood and murder from the drones unsighted. World War III is haunting me. I've got to find a way to save my family. The human race has lost its way. We put our trust in science, but it's us who pay. Used to be civilized, but we've been compromised. We're on a one-way train. We've got to break this chain. Starting to see we should be free. Who does it be? Want a piece of me? Should I do what they say or tell them go away? What is the price for freedom? Cause it sure ain't free. The time has come to raise the bar. There'll be nowhere to hide if there's a third world war. So let your voice be heard and let your heart decide to stand and fight for freedom while you've still got time. Wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up. Stand up, stand up. Stand up, stand up. Wake up, wake up. The time has come to fight. Wake up, wake up. Don't waste another night. Stand up, stand up. What are you waiting for? Stand up, stand up. Oh, the bullets soon be at your door.
There you go. That's "Wake Up" by Heath West, and I've got a writing credit on that, but I really didn't write anything really. I think there's one line in there that I contributed, but thank you very much to Heath for that. It's one of the most, the proudest things that I've ever had, really, a writing credit on one of Heath's songs. So welcome back to Raconteurs News on this Tuesday. It is Tuesday, isn't it? Yeah, Tuesday evening. It's the 26th of February. February's almost gone. We're nearly into March. It's been beautiful weather. Oh, we're going to pay for that in March and probably have 6 foot of snow and God knows what else. But whatever it is, it's probably going to be something that's going to be difficult for me to walk in. But, you know, it is now, and I mean, it's dead hot. But anyway, welcome back. I just wanted to ask you, we've got our guest with us, Danny Nicholson. We've been talking all things. We've been sort of talking things cannabis in the first hour. You expressed earlier on that you weren't very impressed, that you thought that this was a Birmingham shirt. Where are you calling us from tonight? Where are you speaking to us from tonight, Danny?
I'm in the Northwest, but I'm an avid Villa supporter.
Oh, you're a Villa fan. Oh, we've got your old manager.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And then, yeah.
We need a new one at the minute, but there you go.
Yeah,
who have you got, Jason?
Sorry?
Who have you got as manager?
Steve Bruce.
Oh, is he?
Steve.
How long has he been there?
February 1st he started. I'm sorry, I've got to, if I say Steve Bruce, I've said Bruce, right? So I've got to get me B. Bruce Willis. There you go.
You're a legend in your own lifetime, aren't you?
I'll tell you what, these vests, they're a revelation. They make them thinner and everything. Get yourself a vest, man. Vests are the way forward. You know what? I remember back in 90, just after the first Gulf War, when I went to work in Dubai, and I was there, and I did notice it was obviously really, really hot. Everybody wore vests under the shirt, so when somebody'd have a shirt on, and you could see that they got a vest on underneath. And I thought, "What are you having a vest for?" But now I know. I'm here. I'm a reborn vest wearer, shall we say? It's the white vest movement. I think that's what we should do,
mate. If it makes you feel any better, on the right side at Pennines, we all think you Yorkshire lot all wear vests anyway.
Well, you're on the wrong side of Pennines, aren't you?
No, you're at wrong'uns, mate. You're at wrong'uns.
Oh, don't give me that. Listen, we've got puddings and all sorts.
Yeah, but yeah,
well, give me that shit. All right, what is the Lancashire what? Hot pot? What's that? It's fucking stew, innit? It's not
fucking music band.
It's lobby over here, mate. And by the way, Steve Bruce, I'm not being anti-Semitic, but he must be due to leave by summer. He normally walks out of jobs, doesn't he?
What the music thing? What was the music thing? Come on, Danny. You were telling me you were saying something about the music. You're saying that there's more better music over there.
Music?
Yeah.
What?
Music fans.
No, I don't know what you mean.
I don't know which one of you more stoned now, mate.
Right, it's probably me, actually. I just mentioned music and bands and that, and you know when it gets to Yorkshire, Lancashire, we start talking rivalry. Anyway, it's a load of bollocks anyway in it. So we're all in this together. I'm going to put my top back on because if there's any ladies watching of a horny disposition, I do apologise, and you're probably sliding off your seats at this very moment, but. I'm going to put my top back on just to spare some of the leather seats that are going on. Anyway, so you like that?
I've got takeaway.
Oh, you got a takeaway. What you got?
Salt and pepper chicken wings.
Oh, my wife's
duck spring rolls.
Duck spring. Oh, I love duck. We love duck, don't we, love? Duck, don't we, duck?
We don't know.
Look at that.
We do. Yeah,
don't you?
That's just been delivered to me in the cabin.
Oh, nice one. Nice one.
Good. She's good to you, your missus.
You've got home delivery in Lancashire now, have you? Oh, well.
Straight from my kitchen.
Yeah, you'll have internet soon. Oh, listen, you guys, where we're going this second hour, we've got 51 minutes to fill here, and we want to fill it with some information that people are good with and can take away with us. We don't want to fill people's head. We're not telling people what to think on this show. All we do is we give people a platform and they can have their opinion and their say, and we support that people being able to proper free speech. And so, not that you're in any way. I don't think there's anybody that disagrees with what you've got to say tonight, Danny. So, where do you want to go? Or have you got the? Are we interrupting your munchies?
No, that's fine. I'll just let it go cool there. Don't worry. But what I will say is that if anyone is looking, if seriously, guys, if anyone that's listening is looking at, you know, you've heard about cannabis and CBD and all the rest of it, and you don't understand it, really, seriously, do your research. The second thing I would say is Holland and Barrett are now selling their oil, and I don't know whether the camera's live, but that's a bottle of Holland and Barrett oil. And there's no colour in it. Well, not compared to a proper CBD oil. You know, when you look at a proper CBD oil,
yeah, there's a distinct difference.
There's a distinct difference in colour there. Now that oil there I made myself, that's for my dog.
It's not a great quality, is it, Holland and Barrett stuff?
Two different colours. That oil there is a lot darker. It doesn't show up particularly well on camera, but it is a lot darker than the Holland and Barrett one.
And a lot of people get mixed up, you know, still that they can't differentiate the CBD to the THC.
CBD, right? Cannabis has a lot of different cannabinoids. The main two that we're concerned with are CBD and THC. CBD is non-psychoactive and reportedly has some health benefits. THC is very psychoactive, and so they say. I mean, now obviously we know it has health benefits because I'm the living person that can tell you, yeah, it's got health benefits. That's why I use high THC cannabis oil, because it has got the health benefits and it does work for chronic pain. All that pain that I was speaking about, when did I take the oil? About 15 minutes ago.
Maybe 10 minutes.
Shoulder right there now. My back can't feel a thing. And that's 15 minutes, you know. So
yeah, I saw a Parkinson's patient who was, you know, was convulsing violently and couldn't stop, and within 3 minutes he'd started to shake less, to the point, Danny, where he went like that. He just went and then he went, I think I can have something to eat now.
Because his body.
That was amazing. That was amazing to see real time. That was amazing.
His body's not having to use the energy to produce all these movements and all the rest of it. He can now relax and do his thing. People
don't realise that the cannabinoid system that is almost identical to the system within a person. The health benefits of this, and to see it attacked in such a way while other things are very, very openly promoted, it again ties into this damaged society that it's sick. You know, and
doctors have now discovered that we have an endocannabinoid system within our bodies, but
eventually
but the government have turned around and said, but you can't have it unless it's on prescription.
Exactly.
But in order to get a prescription, you go to the NHS, you will not get a prescription. All doctors have been told by the BPNA and another regulatory authority that they are not to prescribe it. They've been told, in fact, that the NHS possibly cannot afford to deal with this. So, but hang on a minute, look at the benefits for the NHS. Look at the benefits for somebody in cancer. I've currently got a close member of my family that's dealing with cancer. And to say that they are part of the marijuana madness generation is totally on point. And it's a shame because this is not my immediate family, but they've taken me under their wings, and I just wish they'd listen and try just that CBD. That's all it is, CBD. Because I'll tell you what, for the benefits when you're going through chemo, it's huge. You know, the benefits of that is huge.
White coat syndrome, isn't it, Danny? Yeah. If you don't wear a white coat, you know, I don't believe you.
That's it.
And it's again putting all your faith into something else when, you know, when you read the Cancer Act, and it's illegal to say that you hit the nail on the head when you said, no, it isn't cure because there's no results for that. That is illegal to say. But this again is the commercial aspect. If you're growing this yourself and if you were gifting it to your neighbor, that is your business. And this is where this local government has now overstepped the line, and the police believe they've got their jurisdictions here. And then again, people, I always put people to Section 26 of the Criminal Courts and Justice Act. That tells a constable what he can and he can't do. And there's a custodial sentence to back that up. This is where these people don't realise what they are. These are the order followers, and we know where this goes, Danny.
Danny, I wanted to ask you, somebody's put a comment in the chat room. Now, you did say earlier on that you are prescribed. Your medicine is prescribed to you.
It will be.
Okay, so can you explain to us the process that you had to go through to get it prescribed?
Yeah.
Give us some insight into that process.
It was very much a process that somebody off the streets, who's a normal person, isn't going to find it very easy to access. But because of my knowledge and my contacts, and you know, I've been an activist in this for a lot of years now. I have a lot of contacts, and I literally made a phone call last Wednesday or Thursday, and the phone call was to Professor Mike Barnes, and I rang Mike and I said, Mike, have we got anyone in the UK that's prescribing yet? He said, yeah, we have done. So on last Friday evening at 4 o'clock, I saw a specialist in Manchester who is prescribing privately. Now, it's not just like a normal doctor's where you go in and you tell them your stuff and they give you a prescription. It's not like that. The guy's gone away and seriously considered it. And then they've authorised a prescription. I've yet to receive that prescription. I have spoken to the office today, and I have an email in my inbox which I had to sign and send back to say that I will be at this address that's registered to collect my what the hell's it called, your medicine, basically. So I'm currently waiting for the prescription to arrive. I think that goes straight over. I'm not exactly sure because this is a new thing, but I'm waiting for a company called IPS to contact me. They will be arranging delivery of my Bedricam products.
Will it be a private prescription, or is it going to be one that's on the NHS? No,
it is totally private, and it's cost me a fucking fortune.
Okay.
But I had to do it because I've got the police pecking at me because I apparently drive under the influence. Well, anyone that knows me knows you can get in my car. I'm one of the safest drivers, you know. What they're frightened of is the police have got note of me from protest, but they're frightened because I've got a Class 1 Arctic license. So I'm hoping that having a private prescription will mean that they'll be able to just bugger off because it's prescribed. Your little piss test that the DVLA are after now won't matter because it's prescribed. And that's completely the only reason that I've gone for the prescription. If it wasn't for that, for the fact that because of my frontline activities on protests and whatnot, if I wouldn't have got the attention drawn to me, I wouldn't have gone to get it prescribed because, you know, I'll make it myself. End of.
Yeah.
I can medicate myself far better, and I know the traceability of the products I deal with. I ain't got a clue about the traceability of Bedricam. I have seen GW Pharmaceuticals grows on the internet, and I've seen the spider-mite within. You know, that's enough for me to say I don't really want to use it, but I have to.
Can you explain to me how you came to the attention? Because listen, I'm sat here. I don't think I'm at the attention, even though I do this this show. I don't think I'm at the attention of the.
How did you get to the attention? Well, basically, you decide, well, I've done nothing for a year or 2 years. You know, I was ill, and you think, you know what, they're paying me 50 quid a week industrial injuries. There's a fracking protest going on a few miles down the road. I'll go and have a look what's going on.
Right. Okay. So it was a different thing. So
It,
they've
yeah,
not targeted you for the weed. It was something else that brought you to the attention of.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't park at the fracking site. It's a mile up the road. So in order for me to walk a mile up the road, I'm smoking a joint on the way up there, and I'm having one when I get there, and I don't give a shit. And
Right.
that's
Okay.
going down now. The police are aware of this because obviously, you know, it smelt like Amsterdam up there. You know, and I got away with it so many times. And I guess, you know, yeah, I did push my boundaries. I pushed it. But at the end of the day, if you turn around and you tell me you're an activist and you're not going to do shit like that, piss off. You're not a real activist.
Yeah. I listen.
I'm only doing something.
The only point I was just trying to get to the bottom of. Why did you be? Were you a notorious grower? Did you pay attention? Because that's all I was trying to get to. You know, I'm just asking you questions. Listen,
I'm just a notorious smoker, and you know, the thing is, when you have the police over, like the day they turned up, one day they turned up at B&Q, Blackpool. We had a camp on there with a few good people on there that had done a hell of a lot of movement at the front line, lorry surfing and God knows what, lock-ons, you name it. So the bailiffs turn up one day to turf the camp off. And, you know, there was some tussle between me and the bailiffs are going, Dan, you're not going on this site. And I'm going, mate, I'm going on that site. So we're moving left and right, forwards and backwards. Every way I go, this High Court security or whatever, High Court officer, checked my body movement until the 30 seconds where I decided, right, we're going now. So I go left, right, left, and then I go right, up and over a coffin, and I'm on the site. I'm now on the campsite. So this is a squat, essentially, and we've Section 6 of the land, and it's our land. So they're trying to evict us off it, but all of a sudden they've brought these High Court documents, and I started looking through them, and all of a sudden I flipped back to the front page. It was a High Court document stamped by the county court. So I started jumping up and down about this, and that was the day where it really sort of kicked off, because the bailiffs couldn't effect the action that they wanted to effect. And all the meantime, I'm having a go at the coppers about cannabis, you know, I'm throwing it down their throat, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about it, which I always will do. It's my favourite subject, after all. So I'm doing this, and all of a sudden I've got the bailiffs on the back foot, because now they've got to piss off, because you can't come and evict somebody with a High Court document stamped by the county court, which they'd done. So they were told, tail between your legs, off you go. So next news, we decide, go on, we'll jump in my motor and we'll run up the road and we'll go and have a look what the security are up to up there and see what they're up to. So we did that. As soon as I did, Officer Dibble was there in his OSU, hanging out the side of it, telling me to pull up. So I pulled up and they swab tested me. Now, I'm telling them I'm a cannabis user, but the swab test came up negative. Right? I can tell you about that. I mean, yes, there are certain products on the market that purportedly will do that. What's it called?
Well, let's not promote all like that, because
products, I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Yeah, we don't want people trying to, we don't want people buying things because they think that there's some perception that they might get pulled and they might get swabbed.
Let's just say that there are products on the market out there that will take care of this, and there's these things as well. Them things. Do you know what they are?
Tree mints. No!
But that's all I did. I ate a tree mint and the fucking test came up negative. So, at the end of the day, the police have then decided, look, we know he smokes cannabis. And I'm saying, look, I'm a medical user. I've got medical defense, but they're not having that. So, they pushed it. They've gone to the DVLA and reported me and said he uses cannabis. But yeah, the piss test that I did at the doctor's was blank. and the swab test at the roadside was blank.
Interestingly, can I ask you this? You know, from the moment that they reported you to the DVLA until the DVLA got in touch, because I'm assuming the DVLA got in touch with you and said we need you to come for we need you to come for a test.
I'm currently waiting. I mean,
how long was that? Do you know, from the first one?
Oh, it was a good while. It was a good while. I mean, what's happened is back end of last year, I went to do this test, and they said that the tabs hadn't been, the security tabs hadn't been signed correctly. Oh, no. You got a blank test. I know they got a blank test because I tested myself before I went. The test was blank. Right. So they got a blank test. They're not happy with that. So now they've said the tamper seals weren't signed correctly. Come back and do a second test. We've got to do the test again.
But that was late last year. Because listen, the reason why I'm asking this is, right, I had my leg amputated in July, and as a result, I've got a driving license, and I wrote off to the DVLA and said, look, I'm having my leg amputated. I won't be able to drive a manual car anymore. Yada yada. You know, you need to do all these medical things like they do, like they tell you you've got to do. So I did that. I have not heard back from them since. Last year, I've had two letters from them saying, both of them saying, we've received your medical information, we're looking into it, and it's going to take 6 to 8 weeks. And I've had two of them since then, and that's it.
Don't worry, they'll be back in touch with you.
I'm not worried. They can
they'll be saying, you know, either you're fine or whatever, or you've got to go for a medical. The problem is what they're saying to me, and I've got a letter in my rucksack. They sent me a letter back end of last week, and it's a fantastic letter. It basically says that you're not allowed THC in your system, but if it's prescribed, it's okay. Well, now mine's going to be prescribed, so it should be okay when I go and do the retest in a week or two. I had 6 weeks to do that. That was probably 4 or 5 weeks ago, so I am running up to the end of that. But at the end of the day, I'm being prescribed. So, you know, that should be a game of chess now where effectively the DVLA are placed in checkmate.
But that's an interesting situation, isn't it? Because we're talking, they do say that if you've got anything that impedes your ability to drive,
it doesn't impede your ability to drive.
But I'm just saying. Well, obviously, if I'm just Johnny, like 20-year-old who lives on the road and smokes a few joints, goes out in his car at night, gets swabbed. And he's got the same amount of cannabis in his system as somebody who's had it prescribed to them. What is the difference there? That's obviously some sort of legal grey area that hasn't been explored. Well, exactly. If it's okay to have it in your system when it's prescribed, then why is it not? Why is it
Essentially, all you're arguing about is cannabinoids and how they're produced. What you're saying is ours is medically produced, and therefore we know the exact content is going to be 18% constant. You know, where if you go and buy THC off the street, say, then you know if you're buying an oil, it can be 84%. It may or may not be tested, and you know this is the only difference. Is as far as I'm concerned, is the actual THC percentage and the test, the fact that theirs is tested and something that you will buy off the, shall we say, the black market, may not be tested. If it is tested, it'll only be tested for THC and CBD percentage, you know, profiles. It won't be tested for, has it got any solvents in it, any pesticides, any residues, any shite in it.
So, but you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So, that is the only difference.
So what I'm trying to get at is that, you know, if you've got it prescribed to you, and you've got it prescribed, if you just hear me out, if you've got it prescribed, that's not a free pass for you to be smoking 3 joints and then going out driving, because then you can say, well, I've got this get out of jail free card. There is a way that it can be tested, that the amount that is in your system. And if you're over that prescribed amount, and I suppose that the amount that you get prescribed is up to a certain limit, and over that, then you're in a sort of different grey area, a legal area.
Quite possibly, and I've yet to find that out, to be honest. But you know, at the end of the day, you've still got the argument of, well, you've still got to prove that I'm what we're calling it, intoxicated or impaired. Well,
Yeah.
you've still got to prove that I'm impaired. Am I impaired right now?
But you see, but it's this is the way that motoring offences are. They're under the mostly strict liability. So it doesn't matter whether or not, if you've got that amount in your system, it doesn't matter whether you're impaired or not. If you've got that amount, because the strict liability, you know, there's no need for a mens rea. It's the actus reus itself that counts. So you're always going to be into a grey area. You know, you can't just say, oh, well, you've got to prove that I'm impaired, because they don't need to. It's strict liability. That's the way that the Road Traffic Act works. And in fact, all motoring laws, they're all strict liability.
And that's the problem that we're up against. You know, they're launching this into the UK, and they're saying that we can have this from prescription 1st of November last year, but they've really not thought the whole job through. From A to B, they've not thought it through, and it needs a lot more consideration, because it makes me a better driver, but they need to consider this more, and they need to really think this through and start engaging with the cannabis community that already exists.
Haven't there actually been tests of driving under cannabis conditions in the States as well? Anyway, and the results showed that the driving wasn't impaired compared to the state of what they'd been measured with. You know, because I think it was like the driving was tested from being sober to a certain amount, and then an increased amount at different times. I can't name the study off the top of my head. I do recall reading something a few years back about it, though.
2 seconds. Turn the fan back up, cool the computer down. Yeah, cannabis impaired driver study. They've been done all over. I mean, I'm looking at one here.
Has any been done in this country?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
No, I don't. I think we're behind everything, but
we're 10 years behind everyone else at least.
Yeah, well, with some of the stuff that's coming.
But essentially, if you compare the effects of cannabis and the effects of alcohol, we're dealing with 2 totally different subjects.
Yes, of
we're
course.
Dealing with one that is relatively safe and has never ever killed anyone. The most cannabis is going to do is make you throw a whitey, which for anyone that doesn't know what a whitey is, it's just when you've overconsumed it. And back in the day, we didn't know how to deal with this, but now we do. And now all that means is you've consumed too much THC, so you balance it out, and you balance it out by smoking a little bit or consuming some CBD. And that'll balance the whole problem out for you, you know. And alcohol on the other effect. I've had a small G&T this evening, right? I would be safe driving in my car right now in my own mind, but I wouldn't want to go and do that. You understand me? I know I'd be safe because I'm a fully trained driver. I'd be okay, but there's that 10% in my mind that says you've had a drink, you don't do it. It's not the same with cannabis. Cannabis makes you more alert, makes you more, it just heightens all your senses. So for me, the research has yet to be done. And we're talking about a lot more than driving. We're talking about research where we can say, right, for MS, try giving that person CBN, CBG, and CBD, and then give them a bit of THCA. So we can split a few cannabinoids, and we can say, Dan, for fibro, these are the cannabinoids you need.
We can also throw on inclined bed therapy on top of that. Inclined bed therapy on top of that, because they've been having great results with MS. With inclined bed therapy. So there's all these things that are coming out that Jason said we give people platforms. The stuff that it sounds really simple, and people go, "Oh, that'll never work," and then people are coming out with their own testimonies. Again, it's that white coat syndrome, though. If you've not got a white coat on, they don't believe it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
I've actually just last week I spent 2 days, and on the 20th of February, which was 6 days ago, I completed the medical training, cannabis training course. That's the UK there. So that's my name.
How the fuck do you get on that? I want to go on that. Is there a university for like 4 years with a bursary?
Something like that. It's quite simple. You know, I completed that course, so I'm now as well trained as the doctors will be at this time. So
you see, the problem you got with cannabis, it's in the same bracket as alcohol in that it can be measured. And I agree with you that when you've had cannabis, when you've had alcohol, you fucking do. You feel like you can kill the world or whatever, you know, if you're that way inclined. But when you take cannabis, and this is what it does, like you say, it heightens your senses, it heightens your sensitivity to things, which is why it gets the label of making people paranoid. Because if you're paranoid anyway, it's going to increase that tenfold, and you're going to become really, really paranoid. So the best thing to do is, if you've got any paranoia in you, is just not bother with cannabis. You know, you might as well just have a drink and, you know, and your last later or whatever you want to do, because that's what people drink do.
Or balance it out with CBD. Don't smoke. So when you're making a joint, put half the amount of THC you would in, and put a bit of CBD in as well. It's sort of
I would, but my CBD guys, it's like
analogy would be watering down the vodka. You know, so I've got a drink here. I put a little bit of water in it. That's what you're doing effectively. And it'd be much better if people have got those tendencies. If people think, well, that cannabis is too strong, I've got fine. Go out and find yourself a real reputable supplier of CBD flowers, and they are available in the UK. So when you're making your joint, a little bit of that in, a little bit of CBD, and see how you go with that.
People will not believe that, yet they will drink alcohol and think that that's socially acceptable. That is acceptable. It's
alcohol was introduced today into the UK. It'd be a ban.
That's the gateway drug. That is
like motorbikes would be, but Aidy wouldn't like that, would he? Well, if nobody had ever invented motorbikes and somebody came along and said, I've invented this, it goes this fast, it does all this shit, and you know, and I want to put this on the road with all the other vehicles, that say fuck off. They would, no chance. But the point I was making is the problem with cannabis is it's measurable. Now everybody knows. Well, studies suggest, shall we say? I'll not say everybody knows, because that's presumptuous of me. But you know, there are studies that say that if you're tired, that is worse than being drunk or be, you know, if you're tired at the wheel. But there's no way to measure that, so it can't be. You know, there's no scientific way to measure that. You've got this much tiredness in your system, so therefore, anything that they can measure. And if they can then spin it to a way that it impairs you, then they will fine you for it. But they can't do it on certain things. So cannabis does come into that. And I you know, on that point, I would make a point of not driving when I've smoked a joint, simply because I just don't feel like I should. I don't feel like I should be driving when I've smoked. In fact, fucking hell, I've smoked a joint. Where the fuck am I going? Where do I need to go? I've just had a joint, for fuck's sake. You know, so I wouldn't do that.
But you're not what I would say in that case. You're not like myself, where I wouldn't class you as a full-on medical user if that's the case.
Oh, I'm not a medical user. No, I use it to get high.
Right. But so. Essentially, go on then. Hang on. Let's conclude this. I'm going to do something here live on air, folks. So, you use it to get high. Why?
It helps me sleep. I'm terrible at sleeping.
Okay. So within 20 seconds there, folks, from a guy who said he's not a medical user, I've just got a medical use.
Oh, no, I mean, I'm not specifically a medical user. Listen, I know that there's... I'm not saying that...
What I'm saying there is... What I'm saying there, let's rewind that. I've got a medical use at you in 20 seconds. You said you weren't a medical user.
No, I wasn't specifically a medical user. I won't be going to... listen, I'm smoking a joint now. I'm not going to sleep.
But
right?
all use is medicinal. End of. All use is medicinal.
Well, if you'd have just said that in the first place, we could have avoided this.
Somebody why they smoke it and get to the root of it, you'll always find a medicinal use. It's as if your brain knows this shit's good for me, I'm going to do it.
But then again, you could say that about anything. Alcohol, you could say that people use alcohol because they're addicted to it and they're using it as a medicine. So anything that anybody consumes, it usually has a medicinal effect. Like if you eat things, that's got a medicinal effect. You eat things and it maintains your body and it gives you protein and does that thing. So you could argue that point about everything, couldn't you, really?
Yeah. You could. But that just straight away dismisses your medicinal recreational argument.
Well, I didn't have an argument. I said I didn't specifically use it medicinally. I didn't have an argument. I wasn't arguing with you. I know that it's good for me. I know that that smoking this, it's good for me, and I know that I get a lot of phantom pain from my missing leg. It helps with that no end. I don't even feel like I can't even feel anything. And normally I'm getting all sorts of different sensations and stuff. I know that it helps me. I'm just saying that I don't. If I didn't have all these things, then I would still smoke it because I enjoy the effect that I get from it.
Yeah. And I think that's true amongst a lot of users. You know, whatever you use it for, I think that argument is true that we do enjoy the what it does and the relaxation and all the rest of it, and that's another reason why we do it and why it's been done for thousands of years.
Shall we say, Jason, that you do it for help you to sleep and for entertainment purposes only?
we could say what we want. Entertainment purposes. Oh, don't make me get the vest out again. Dear. Incredible. Anyway, listen, everybody listening to Raconteurs News. Hello to people in the chat room. We've got Society of the Spectacle. Tony, all the people that I've said before. Let's see if there's any new people in there. In fact, I think a lot of new people are a little bit reticent about coming into the chat room, but you'll get a great reception. Everybody will love you in there. And
Leeds pounced on Amanda. Hi all, we pounced on her straight away.
Oh, of course he did. Oh, he will do. Yeah, Amanda, who lives not far from me. Sorry, and knows me. I've had a good evening to you, Amanda. I'm sorry I've not been contacting you back. I will do. And I've got your email from a couple of weeks ago. I've just not been very well, a bit of an infection, and I've had all sort of doctors' things, and you know how it is with my life. It's just completely fucked up. But I will be back in touch with you. And Amanda, who I think is going to be coming on, she's got some good research herself into all sorts of different things. Danny, we've got about 15 minutes left before we have to say au revoir or bonjour if you're a Only Fools and Horses fan. But we've only got about 15 minutes left. Where do you want to go with this last 15 minutes? Where can people find what you're doing and
how can they help you? How can they help you? What can they do in their own community?
That's what he said.
I think people in their own community, you've just got to get in touch with your local cannabis social clubs. They're all over. And get involved with your local social club. As for what I'm doing, you're not going to like it, Paul, but money's what matters in the world I'm in. And it's investment that I'm looking for in order to move on and out the country, etc. That will happen one day. But, you know, immediately get involved in your local community and do your research. Start researching it, start looking into things, and start really understanding what you are dealing with. Ask questions to people who know. If you don't know, reach out and ask somebody like myself. If I don't know, that's what I do. Aside from that,
I was just writing something down. Yeah, we're still here, mate. We're still here. Yeah, go on, carry on.
Aside from that, I'd say that if you are accessing your medication on the black market, try to make sure that you know who it's coming from, because there are a lot of people out there who will say, "Well, I've got oil that people have sent me like this stuff here." It's absolutely hideous. That comes out onto a piece of paper. It's green. It's liquid. It's got something in it. It's not pure oil. It's contaminated with something. What you can only find out if you test it, but it's no good. Throw it in the bin. But you really do need to know that you're getting your oil off somebody who understands how to make it, and that they do everything they can to assure you that they're not working with moldy flour. I know so many people, so many stories I've heard where people start off with bad products. Well, if you put a bad product in at the start, you're only going to end up with an even worse product when you finish. So know who you're buying your oil or your cannabis from.
I've heard a lot of people who've been ripped off, people who've invested in, you know, I've heard that a good price, an average price for a treatment of cannabis oil for a cancer treatment was 125 quid for 5 mil. Somebody paid 750 quid for 5 mil.
Wow.
That's how much people were getting desperate, and people were taking advantage of that.
Yeah.
And I know I'm grateful to know people. I can, you know, I've met so many people who I've never met face to face, but I've been able to go, hey, go and talk to this guy because he doesn't earn anything from it. He gets it at cost. He does treatments, and it's not just working with anything to do with cannabis. It's all kinds of all the herbal treatments and diet plans, alkaline, all this kind of stuff. He works with a lot of people, and he's had so much success, but he doesn't do it for a business because that's not, you know, it's just not what he does. He's even been on the show. It's things like this seem to unite people, but a lot of us are spread so far about, and like you're saying that these communities are cropping up everywhere. There's nothing cropped up like what stands out. But I don't know if you've got any input on there was a fella, I remember an article, I must be going back about 3 or 4 years now, where there was a bit of a hoo-ha in Manchester city centre where a guy had got a cannabis cafe, and he was getting a license, and then they were saying, well, you could bring your own cannabis, and they're having issues with the police. I never knew what an outcome of that. Do you know anything about that?
I know a lot about things that happened in Manchester, but nothing that I really want to speak about tonight, because whilst I know what went on, it's not fair for me to say, because I might get my facts wrong, you know, without having to sort of check. What you're referring to there is the first coffee shop I believe in the UK. It was in Stockport, and it was Colin Davis and a few other people that put that on. And essentially, that was closed down.
I wanted to know what the outcome was.
It was closed down. I mean, I'd done a coffee shop with Colin, not a coffee shop, sorry, a cannabis day, where we took over the Mark Addy. That was the pub in Manchester. It was flooded at the river. And we went in, we opened it up, and we almost spotted it. But we opened it up for an afternoon, and we've got a band down there. There's videos out there of it. It was a fantastic afternoon until the old bill turned up, you know.
Yeah.
We had to sort of disappear. But yeah, you know, where it's going in the UK, truthfully, the market's going to be a corporate market. I wouldn't be surprised in 2 years' time you still can't get it off the NHS, despite saying it can be prescribed since 1st November last year. I think people like Branson are going to be setting up their shitty companies where you're going to have to go, and if you're a cannabis user, doesn't matter whether it's medical or whatever, I think you're going to have to pay for your own, and you're going to be buying it from a dispensary or whatever. And that's sadly, with things that I've seen within the industry in the past week or the past month, that's where I think the industry's going.
Do you think that that there's going to be a situation where you're going to have an ID card that you are a user or somebody?
You already have to have that. You already have to have the paperwork, all the paperwork. And I don't know what's involved in that paperwork, but that paperwork's coming. So, you know, I'll be able to let you know more on that in the coming weeks. But you do have to carry certain paperwork.
Wow. Listen, Johnny Jam Shovel in the chat room. Hey up, John. He does our write-ups. He's a top bloke, and he don't really get as much praise as he should do on this show. But anyway, John asked if there's an email address, that you've got an email address that people can contact you. Not you, Webby, Danny.
I think the best thing that I'd say is, you know, my name's Danny Nicholson. I'm all over Facebook. You'll find me out there. Please don't go and have my profile, that profile right now. I've got 2 profiles because obviously being an activist, Facebook love banning you. My last one, I got a ban for 30 days. I said I thought paedophiles deserve more than 12 months in jail. I have been a hunter before, and I do actively go out hunting from time to time.
Oh, so, wow. Come on. But why did we not get into this earlier?
That was my honest opinion. You know, I think they deserve longer than that, and I got a 30-day ban for it. So currently, you're speaking to Danny Barone, and that's my my knockoff profile, if you will. So if you want to add anyone, it's Mr. Barone, Danny Barone.
How do you spell that?
Baron with an E on the end of it to make it sound posh.
Oh, right, okay. So make it sound exotic.
Barone, Mr. Barone, the oil Barone.
Listen, it's took us till about 9 minutes to go before you've got into the hunting thing, and you know, that's something that we you know, I've been trying to get people that have been in the hunting. I had one guy on. It's over a year ago. Kenny Humphreys Jr. or Kenny Humphreys or whatever. We had him on, a paedophile hunter. But just give us a little bit of insight into what that was like.
It can be very hair-raising. You never know what situation you're going into, and you just don't know what you're dealing with. You've seen all sorts of evidence before you've got there, and you've read an evidence pack, and you know, as part of that, you see all sorts. Swan-shaped penises, the lot, you know. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but yeah, you do see these things. But at the end of the day, there's still a person behind that, and you're going there. They're going to be arrested for why you're going there, but you've got to protect that piece of shit. Don't matter what you think, you've got to protect them till the police get there to take over. So there's a citizen's arrest enacted, and then your job is to protect the person from, you know, anything.
I've seen. How did you deal with? I've seen a lot of these videos. I looked into. I've watched a lot. How did you deal with when you got to somewhere and you met one of these guys that was there to meet an underage kid, and it was obvious that there was something not quite right with him, that they were perhaps had learning difficulties, and all that sort, you know, that sort of thing.
At the end of the day, even I've watched a lot of stings as well as taking part. Now, what I will say is that even someone with learning difficulties knows right from wrong. And a lot of the people you see on the stings, you know, they know what the legal age of consent is in the UK.
Yeah, I listen. I understand that, but I'm talking about from your point of view. So you're there. How do you feel when you confronted with somebody who's clearly got learning difficulty? I'm not suggesting that that's an excuse for them, but I just wondered how you feel and how you dealt with them differently to somebody that was clearly.
Essentially, you know, they don't get dealt with any differently by the team that I go out with to anyone else. You know, if you give aggression, you go on the ground. If you're fine, you stay there and you're dealt with. There's no difference. And they need to be. Some of them have been vastly let down by the system, but they still know right from wrong, and it's still wrong what they're doing, and they need dealt with for that. You know, and getting back to how we came onto this, I got a ban off Facebook for 30 days for saying they deserve longer than 12 months in jail. You know, it's as simple as that.
Well, we don't. Facebook's a fucking rape hole anyway, isn't it? It's just becoming a dog hole for pictures of dinner and adverts. That's all it is. That's really all it is. It's just like a huge thing.
Tommy Robinson can't even post his dinner.
Oh, Tommy.
Well, I mean, that's another thing as well. I watched that yesterday, the Tommy Robinson thing, and I think they were beautiful. It just completely got them. That doesn't mean I'm a Tommy Robinson supporter, but I thought that particular piece.
Critically thinking, is it possible? Is it convenient? Could it be convenient for us for a possible joint party between the BBC? So that's what I'm saying. It shocked me. It has literally shocked me that some people have seemingly said, "That's it now. Look at him. Let's follow him." And it baffles me. It baffles me.
Have a look at right. It's gone to today. We've got Tommy Robinson's been banned from Instagram and Facebook, and then this thing that came out before, you know, the thing about the BBC, where all the BBC are doing there is sacrificing John Sweeney and a fucking production people, and they can say we're all down to them, and it weren't an endemic thing. It were down to these few individuals that have done all this shit. The BBC come out smelling they don't smell exactly of roses.
Whipping boys.
Nobody's asking them about the fucking paedophiles that were there, you know, back in the fucking day. So, you know, we're in this situation where it's like this has all happened on the day where we're told that it's either there's going to be another referendum or whatever, or supposedly there's going to be another referendum, and it's going to be either a Brexit with a deal or a Remain. Do you know? I mean, for fuck's sake, what the fuck? If this doesn't, you know, it's just like it's all been split down fucking middle. These two big things that people that are interested in Brexit, a lot of people follow Tommy Robinson, see what he does, and notice what he does, and also we've got this other thing that's split. So it you know, your attention's split into two different things. That's what for me makes it all the more sus. But I'm not going to stand here and say Tommy Robinson's this or Tommy Robinson's that, because I've got no evidence, I've got no proof. And you know what? I will consume the things that he puts out, you know, like documentaries like that, and I'll make my own fucking mind up. I don't need to be told by somebody that what is right and what is wrong. It's like flat Earth. I don't need to be told by somebody that just oh, flat Earth, you must be fucking mad. That's convinced me. All right, well, you know, that's what I'm going to think. What I think, and I don't know whether the Earth's flat or fucking round or whatever. All I want to do is I want to investigate everything. I don't want to dismiss something simply on a whim and simply because I think it's some sort of psyop, or, you know, I'm putting some sort of, you know, some sort of secret agent thing on it that somebody's doing. That's not what I don't want to do that. I want to hear everybody, and I want to make my own fucking mind up. Oh, it's 2-0 now. Wednesday winning 2-0. Sorry about that, everybody. Well, Webby, we've got a couple of minutes left. Why don't you finish up with our guest this evening? I do apologise for that.
Hey, Webby, I've got something to say. Brucey's going to be happy tomorrow, isn't he? What did I just say? Did I just say Bruce? Oh, no.
Be Bruce. Spaghetti arms.
Do you know, you're saying yourself, Bruce, I mean, you've not got a leg issue here, have you? Because Bruce had more legs than you as well, you know. But and Bruce did have nosebleeds because he bled from his feet and his nose.
Oh my God, this world is just crackers, isn't it? Especially this one we're living in, isn't it, Paul? It is just absolutely.
We live in very interesting times.
Very, very interesting times. Well, I think we're just about to end the show. We're nearly at 250 shows. We might get there next week. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to be here Monday, but I will be here hosting it if you want, but I'm going to be watching the football. Yeah. So, but there will be a show if Webby gets himself a guest. But we'll definitely be back on Tuesday. I want to say a big thank you to our guest tonight, Danny Nicholson. Mate, it's been interesting. We've had a couple of spliffs and we've had a good debate, I think. And you know, I think we probably should have got into a little bit earlier. Yeah.
I'll leave you with a final thought, though.
Go on, then.
Has CERN pushed us into a parallel reality?
Oh, my God. You've just... Okay, it's now exploding.
I think it might have kicked in.
Exploding.
On that note, the Baron will love you and leave you, and I'm going to go and take my dog for a walk. So thanks very much, guys. Peace out.
Have a good one, Danny.
Nice one, mate.
Don't be a stranger. Come back on, because I know. Pardon the pun. Jason will want to probe you a bit more on your other activities.
Will happen. We might be able to get some hunters for you. Let me just have a word with a few people in that community.
Sure,
I'm sure we can get some hunters on for you, but I don't think they're going to be on for a couple of hours. I think you've got probably about half an hour with them.
That'll be enough for Jason, mate.
Go from there. All right, guys.
Yeah, take it easy, Danny. Have a good one, pal.
Guys, take care. Bye. Bye.
Thank you very much. There you go. That is Danny Nicholson with the VCIS. There you go. V for victory. We're all going to be victorious, leaving us this evening. Thank you very much to him. It's been an interesting show, hasn't it, Webby?
Yeah, very interesting. Like I said, I knew Danny was up to a lot of stuff because he's been banned off Facebook, come back up, and he's ducking and diving. And I wanted to know the backstory about it because, everybody's got a story with what's going on. People have gone through some tough times and they've found stuff out. And trying to tell the general public that, hey, look at this new information that I've found, it's difficult because people are kept purposely busy and they get lost. And EastEnders is on and all that stuff. I know, I get it. I've been there. But we always say, Jason, eventually it comes and pops your bubble, kicks you in the balls and smacks you in the face. What do you do?
Well, kick it back. That's what we do here at Raconteurs News.
What we do, try.
Cheers. Anyway, listen, we've gone 2 minutes over. It's been a brilliant 2 hours. I've had a nice joint. I've had a couple of drinks. I don't mind saying. We're not professional here. All we do is we just talk to you from our living rooms on a Monday and a Tuesday night. I'll not be here next Monday, but hopefully we'll get somebody on, and I'll be listening in at the side, but I'll have 2 eyes on the Sheffield derby as we try to avoid Sheffield United from getting promotion to the Premier League, although I really couldn't give a fuck, to be fair.
Well, that's Geek 4 Eyes. Only one leg, but that's Geek 4 Eyes.
All right. Well, thanks to everyone for listening. Thank you to our guest, and thanks to Webby. We'll see you next week. Ta-ra a bit.